Okay, we're recording and streaming, so we're ready. Are we ready to go?
Yep.
All right. It's a call to order for the Brewery District Commission. And just as points of information, the next commission business meeting will be Thursday, December 21st at noon in room 205. The next hearing is Thursday, next and last hearing is Thursday, January 4th at 4:00 p.m. in this room. I'd like to swear in the staff. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I do, Jack and myself.
Thank you.
Nicole Gibson.
Thank you very much. So Nicole or Jack? All right. I'd like the commissioners to introduce themselves, starting with Mr. Leisure.
Pat Leisure. Daniel Mather. Joe Bird.
Debiani Kurani.
And I'm Cynthia Hunt. Full commission tonight, here to listen to your stories, which is great. All right. We have the city commissioners or the city attorney's office board commission oath of office. Do you want us to do that now?
Yes.
Okay. On the record, I asked a question about confidentiality. It is our understanding that everything that happens in these meetings and the business meeting is not confidential. It's public record. The only things that have been identified as possibly confidential would be financial records that we might receive in a hardship situation or individual communications with the staff that are not subject to public record. Is that your guys' understanding?
It is bad.
Oh, are you the attorney?
I am the city attorney.
Where you were?
Yeah.
Where you were.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Josh Monroe. I'm the assistant city attorney from the city attorney's office. I'm
Do you need to swear you in?
No, I do not believe so.
Checking.
I am here because I represent all the planning commissions. As you have in front of you, you have the oath of office and statement that I'm going to ask you guys to do. It'll be filed with the city clerk's office as non-file with your staff as well. As for your question about confidential information, that is exactly right. This is an open meeting that is subject to the Open Meetings Act. You are very unlikely to encounter anything in these meetings that would be confidential, but you could in some plan reviews and other capacities. As for the oath of office, what I'll have everyone do is if you could write your name in that first box and then the Brewery District Commission in the second box. I'll have everybody attest to it on the record here. It's a very long oath, so I do apologize for the length of it, but we'll make it through. I've issued or given this to several boards and commissions, and it is very lengthy, so I'll just caution everyone that no worries if you make a minor mistake while repeating this after me. I will begin with I state your name. Obviously, do not repeat state your name. Please say your name with that. I did that at one board commission and everyone said I state your name, and it was rather entertaining. So I will have everyone raise their right hand to administer the oath to you. I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
for the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
and will obey the laws thereof,
and will obey the laws thereof,
and will in all respects uphold and enforce
and will in all respects
Uphold and enforce.
the provisions of the Charter and Code of the City of Columbus,
the provisions of the Charter and Code of the City of Columbus,
and will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
and will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
abide by all governing bylaws and rules and regulations
abide by all governing bylaws and rules and regulations
in the discharge of my duties as a member of the Brewery District Commission.
in the discharge of my duties as a member of the Brewery District Commission.
In addition, I acknowledge and pledge
In addition, I acknowledge and pledge
to adhere to the highest standards of ethical conduct
to adhere to the highest standards of ethical conduct
as outlined in the attached document
as outlined in the attached document
titled City Boards and Commissions Pledge of Ethical Conduct,
titled City Boards and Commissioners Pledge of Ethical Conduct,
which details the city's ethics, laws, and policy.
which details the city's ethics, laws, and policies.
I understand that it is my responsibility
I understand that it's my responsibility
to act with integrity, transparency, and accountability
to act with integrity, transparency, and accountability
in all my actions and decisions,
in all my actions and decisions,
guided by the principles set forth in said document.
guided by the principles set forth in said document.
Thank you. You can please sign and print your name on that first line for me. And you can also fill out member of Brewery District Commission. And then as an attorney, I'm a notary, so I will notarize these for you. So if you want to pass them, I guess, to your left, to your staff, I will collect them, notarize them. Again, feel free to contact staff if you have any legal questions about anything that may come up. And thank you for your time.
Can we get a copy
Your staff, yeah, we can get you a copy.
of the notarized version? Great. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to staff approvals. Nicole.
To begin on page 3 of the agenda, that is BD-12-001, 691 South High Street. It is for exterior alterations to remove the paint and then to paint the existing wood. It is to match existing and color chips were provided to staff. It is also BD-23-12-002, 907 South Front Street. It includes the restoration of 2 single hung wood windows, the removal of window stop molding, and to restore the windows off-site and then restore them to site. The windows will be temporarily boarded up during the restoration process. There's also BD-23-12-003 for 961 South High Street. That's to repair a deteriorated wood on the existing privacy fence to match in the profile. Repair wood on the shed, repair and touch point of the chimney, spot tuck point areas in the entire building, and to replace deteriorated wood on the rain carriers. And that's all, there's 3.
Thank you. Any discussion or take a motion
Make a motion.
to approve? Okay, is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed, thank you. Do minutes next? Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes? Comfortable? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Commissioner Mather, is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Leisure, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, let's go through the continued applications. To start.
Sorry. Beginning with BD-23-11-006 B for 550 South High Street.
Come up. See you all again.
Aye.
Hi. Raise your right hand. Introduce yourself. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Let's do it on board. That first, so say I will if you would.
I will.
I will.
Great. Now would you introduce yourself, please?
Angela Petro.
And Dave Care from DK Architects.
Thank you very much.
This application is a request for action for new construction and exterior building alteration and landscaping. The proposed work includes a modification to previously submitted materials, including work to the brick pillars, aluminum gates and vents, and a landscaping plan that's updated per the submitted documentation. Staff analysis. The outline is taken from the November 2nd Brewery District Commission now approved meeting minutes. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Hunt asked what the increased capacity of the property will do with the increased patio area. Commissioners mentioned that the wooden patio doors are not contemporary with the building, however, may be an historic opening. Commissioners noted that the brickwork that will become exposed from the underneath the small canopy that is supposed to be removed needs to be assessed and repaired in conversation with staff about appropriate repairs. Some commissioners are supportive of the metal canopies. They believe that they are comparable to other canopies in the area and they uphold the integrity of the building. Some commissioners stated that the exterior changes to the building are all appropriate, but believe that some of the landscape elements need some work. Commissioner Brewery mentioned that it may be more appropriate to include the divided lights in the doors as well as the transoms. However, Commissioner Hunt noted that historic car barns would have had an openness and the clear glass emulates that feeling. Commissioners asked why the gates were so strong while the front door is light. The gate feels out of place. Commissioner Leisure wondered why the patio was being presented as an outdoor room that is fully separated from South High Street. Commissioner Hunt noted that the gate to the outdoor space and the entrance to the main building feel like they belong to two different buildings. Commissioners feel that the scale and the opacity of the landscaping and gates to the outdoor space was unaligned with the building. And some commissioners felt that either the front door needs to feel heavier or the gate needs to feel lighter. Having a heavier feeling front door could help with some perceived protection on South High Street. Commissioner Leisure stated that planters make sense as a strategy to give the front of the building more protection. And commissioners asked if the planters can be moved to screen the door during an event. Commissioner Berardi stated that the pillars felt out of scale and that it blocks the view of the architecture too much. Commissioner Hunt noted that she would like to see a middle ground for the opacity of the entrance to the patio, but would not oppose the current configuration after learning the intended use of the space. Commissioner Leisure recommended looking into a layered approach to patio screening. Commissioner Hunt noted that a planter or a solid base to the hedgerow would provide more security and prevent people from walking through the landscaping as easily. Some commissioners did not feel the globe lights were appropriate. Commissioners noted that there are more appropriate options for light fixtures for the pillars and asked staff to look into whether a gas light could be an option. Commissioner Mather noted that downlighting the pillars would be a more subtle option. Commissioner Leisure expressed concern about the total opacity of the landscaping and noted that communication between the patio and South High Street is important. Commissioners encouraged the applicant to think about these landscaping options in terms of how they could support the intended use of the space. The commission felt the pergola made sense in a two-dimensional elevation, but noting that it is hard to tell how the structure would appear from the street level. Commissioner Hunt noted that she is amenable to the height of the structure as it allows views of the historic architecture underneath. Commissioners asked whether the screens will come all the way to the floor when fully deployed. Commissioners asked whether it would be possible to remove the two intermediary supporting columns on the north side of the pergola. Commissioners noted that lowering the height of the awning structure may be helpful to blend in with the greenery. However, the commission also discussed that you would not be able to see the architectural detail of the awning structure if it was lowered. Commissioners felt the roof line of the awning structure was contemporary to that of the building and noted that the awning being a structure that does not touch the building is creative. Commissioners requested example images of patio spaces and screening in the Brewery district or elsewhere that are comparable to what the applicant is trying to accomplish. Commissioners were not opposed to painting the brick columns as the construction would be of new brick. Commissioner Hunt encouraged the applicant to look into colors and materials for columns, and the commission noted the exterior alterations to the building appears to be appropriate, and the commissioner's main concern is the South High Street edge of the patio. Since the last review, the applicant has removed the request for globe lens pillars, which brings the total height of the columns down to 6 feet. In response to the feedback from the last hearing, the applicant has increased the layering of the landscaping with lower plantings in front of the taller hedgerow, the height of which is still proposed to be maintained at 7 feet. Staff does recommend the commission discuss maintaining the height of all plantings at 6 feet. The proposal is now showing an additional tree to be preserved to the left of the gate. Updated proposal of an aluminum fence is now shown between two further brick pillars and wrapping to meet around the building. The proposed fence should not be fixed into the facade of the property. Staff does not support the currently proposed height of the new hedges that line the High Street side of the patio, as the short north guidelines on patios and outdoor dining state that outdoor spaces should not create visual or physical obstacles or hazards to adjacent buildings, streetscape elements, pedestrian travel, or repairs. Staff recommends that the maintained height be consistent with the brick pillars at 6 feet. While unpainted masonry should not be painted for the Brewery district guidelines and the short north design guidelines on painting, staff can support painted new brick pillars. And it is recommended by HPO staff that the awning above the main entry door be made of soft canvas or vinyl material from the Brewery district guidelines for awning in the short north design guidelines for awning and canopies. However, the short north design guidelines for awnings and canopies do state that alternate Alternative materials may be considered on a case-by-case basis. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends for either approval as submitted with any non-clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for final review and approval prior to the issuance of a certificate. Or two, continuation of application BD-23-11 F006P 550 South High Street to allow the applicant time to bring their design in line with the applicable city code guidelines. The basis for that staff recommendation is City Code 31611, standards for alteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. City Code 311612, standards for new construction A through N. City Code 311613, standards for site improvements A and B. And from the Brewery District Guidelines for garage and outbuildings, awnings, painting, lighting, commercial storefronts. And from the Short North Design Guidelines for awning canopies, commercial storefronts, lighting, site work and landscaping, commercial patios and outdoor dining, and painting.
We were chatting. Would you guys like to have them walk us through the changes as they see them? Would you be willing to do that?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
If we could go to the second slide and that shows the floor plan, yes, the site plan things. So what we took away from our last meeting is that our original design had a monolithic hedge that seemed out of scale and gates that seemed non-transparent and out of scale, and the piers also out of scale. And so we made some modifications that we think helps that in certain elements. We reduced height. In other elements, we feel we were able to keep them the same height, and but with the changes, it helps maybe soften that. At the last meeting, we had a discussion about the balance between the use of this patio in terms of it being an event space for weddings, and that privacy is something that is important to the business. At the same time, we want to make sure that we address the concerns of the commission and the planning department. And so our approach on this was to layer the landscaping. We talked about layers, and the Lindy's patio was referenced at the last meeting as well. We took a good look at that. And at that particular patio, there's layers of walls and fence and tree cover and lighting. And so we attempted to do a similar treatment to this. And in some ways, we increased the number of piers and the gate area, but then we also set that hedge back and added some lower landscaping. And then we really wanted to show this with the lighting, because I think that one of the important things about Lindy's patio, especially if we're using that as a reference point, is the lighting is another layer for that. And so I want to make sure that we showed you guys a night view of this so that you could see the layers with the lighting as well. Yeah, it was mentioned that there's an extra tree on it this time. We had a tree that didn't show up on the last one. We wanted to make sure that we were showing you guys the correct number of existing trees and that we're not harming them and touching them. So in this case, the piers are at 6 feet. We removed the globe lighting from the piers, and the gate is slightly less than 6 feet on here, as you can see, less than the pier height, but that's essentially the same height as what we were showing earlier. But we feel that scale wise, it fits better because it isn't just a gate with hedges on each side. You can see the 7-foot hedge to the right, and then the layered different heights of landscaping, both the existing trees on one side and the plantings on the South High Street side. Trying to think of what else we addressed on this. I think,
Is that a green wall on the building to the south?
Yes, you all approved that 10 years ago. It turned out beautifully.
I don't remember.
So that's existing.
Good.
It's not a green wall. It's, what is the name of those? What of the tree is? It's a tree wall.
Priority trees.
I forget the name of the tree, but,
Espalier.
they're not espaliered, but we have them topped every year and they're probably 20 some feet tall and they replaced a, a double, what do you call those? What do you call the things that you see on the highway? And then they have advertising signs.
billboards.
Billboards.
Oh,
There were 2 billboards there that we took down and then replaced it with that hedge tree wall.
I think the only other thing I would address is that, I know the staff comments mentioned the canopy over the double doors that are right on South High Street. And we are maintaining that we would like that to be a metal canopy. We feel it is more fitting with building style, this particular building style, and a fabric or vinyl awning we don't think would be appropriate. It would cover part of the transom above the doors.
Can you go to page 3, please? I like the way that the height of the fence lets the building show through, even around the patio space. It allows the connection between the 2 components to show nicely.
Yeah, I appreciate the doubling of the piers on either side. It makes it feel more substantial, more purposeful, more part of the building. I think the slatted, if that's what I call it, the slatted fence also works well for being a little bit more transparent.
Yep.
I agree with you about the canopy. I think that fits the style of building, and the awning would feel very heavy, especially for the scale it need to be.
I concur.
I do think there was one staff comment about maintaining a 6-foot height. That's instead of the 7-foot height for the hedgerow. That was probably a good idea. If you had to change one thing, I don't think that would be too much heartburn for you. But I think it would look sharper maintaining the row of the gate and the piers all the way across.
Okay.
Those are my comments.
Yeah, I have 2 comments. One, you can see in this image here, I think building those piers on the left side is gonna kill a tree, and I'm okay with that, which is strange for a landscape architect to say. I just don't think you're gonna be able to construct that without really damaging the root zone. What I think you could do is pull those gates out, or the piers out a little bit closer to the street. And the main reason I say that is because I think it's important to save the other 2 trees, and that'll give a little more space for those. The other thing, I think there's kind of a missing bookend on the right side. Yeah, so what I would like to see is a pier at the end of that side and the fence carried all the way across. And then how you landscape behind that, I don't really have much, I think that's just finishing that thought, I think is my main comment.
right at the phone.
Yeah, and then once you get around to your parking lot, you're just doing screening of your patio and, how that works with security, that's kind of up to you, I think, so.
So let me make sure that I understand. So what your suggestion is to add an additional pier at where the cursor is there, and then continue the slatted fencing across there?
Can I address that? I agree. The original intent, we purchased the building to the south, 560 South High Street. The original plan was to come before you and do a much larger renovation of the campus. Our bid came in and it was exorbitant. So we've put pause on that for now. What we're trying to do with this project is to begin to meet this halfway until we have what we're going to do with the building at 560 South High Street planned out. So I'm trying not to put infrastructure in that I can't easily remove or that I'm spending money and then 3 years from now, I'm tearing it out. So we have an 18-month lease with the tenant in 560 South High with the hope that the market might be a little different 2 years from now. So I 100% agree. We've had conversations about that. The original plan included it. And I would say that in the near future, I would come before the body again to ask for that. But I'd like to not spend money on things that then I might not have it right yet until we have all of the structural plan done and how we're gonna bring 560.
So I get it, I do. So what I would suggest, and I can live with that personally, but there's no guarantee that that will happen, which is part of the challenge for us, right? So that this is one of those things where it's like, trust me, and I do appreciate that. I think, I think my comment earlier about pulling those piers out just to give you a little more space probably is still a good thing, just so you're, I'm gonna say, giving those other two trees a chance to make it in the construction of all that. And I'm not as concerned about the planting on the street side up against the piers, if that makes sense. Like, I think you've got a couple feet there, that's shrubs, great. If it's little grasses or something like that, then that's nice. It just gives a green foundation to that fence. So, yeah.
Other
I
comments?
guess with regard to the existing trees, looking at the existing photo, they're much lower than showing up in the rendering. So I think there's gonna be conflict with having a hedgerow that's up to 7 feet or potentially even 6 feet.
That's part of why I'm saying that also, just to like give yourself a little bit more.
It's more relief. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Other comments? Anything about action?
No, I appreciate the changes, the new gates. It's opening up this space quite a lot, so, no additional.
I think it's a great improvement. I really like it. I
Thank you.
appreciate the fact that you guys listen to us, and I think it shows, the quality shows. I don't mind the fact that the fence doesn't continue, because to me it focuses it on the entry as opposed to making it look like a contiguous space. I like the shift over to the green. I'm indifferent 6 feet, 7 feet, if the regs do say 6 feet, so probably be a good idea.
I think, just study, kind of the existing,
Yeah,
the roof there.
Yeah.
A little bit, like,
be good.
yeah.
So there's disagreement on that point, so we'll see where we end up on the voting. I like the other building showing through. That's why I like the canopy up. You can see the historic building and celebrate it. I think this invites that even more. And I think it creates a very romantic space, which is what you want for your new marriage garden. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled.
I wanna go back to,
Matt,
Matt's comments.
yeah, for Commissioner Lee, sorry.
Mr. Leisure. So, there's of course different opinions on this. We consulted with a landscape architect, and the suggestion was leave 3 feet for that tree. And I know that maybe that's good, maybe that's not. What would your suggestion
For
be?
which, the one on the left of this.
Well, yeah, let's say that one.
So like the root zone of the tree is basically the width of
The
the
width.
canopy plus, then you're way into that.
Yeah.
And to excavate around that, I mean, I just
So that
don't see it happening.
yeah, and so right.
And I think, I'm trying, like, I think you're gonna lose it either way, so why not just propose to lose it and fix it with other landscape stuff? That's,
What is the process to remove a tree? And get approval for that?
It follows the typical COA process. If with an arborist report and a less than 12-inch caliber, it can be staff approval. Other than that, it does come to the commission for approval of the tree.
Circumference of those 12?
A 12-inch caliper.
Okay.
Which it is less than 12 inches.
Yes, so in this case, if there was an arborist report saying the tree was basically posing a risk to health and safety, it can be a staff approval item, but otherwise it does come to the commission.
A risk to, okay, so this would be our option to remove the tree, so that's not a risk to health and safety, right?
Dying.
Or if the tree is dying as well, so if the tree is
So if we
diseased.
kill it,
Mhm.
then,
What about replacing like for like with a smaller tree? Like, so, I mean, because
So-
I picked those red buds. I love those red buds.
Yeah, they're.
I don't want to lose the red bud. Can we replace it with a smaller red bud of the exact same species with staff approval?
So all tree removal applications are required to have a replacement tree. So again, it would be those same.
Still,
quality
okay.
trees.
so I am not opposed to removing the tree from an aesthetic standpoint. What mainly I'm concerned about the schedule, actually, because
Yeah.
if there's additional approvals that need to go through because we're removing a tree, or if it's just part of the site compliance process, then we can do that. But if we need to come back in here or, because of that tree, then we might come up with another solution.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, if you start construction and you have the tree there, then you just risk not sure exactly what you would need to do, so.
Yeah.
That's,
The size of the bed is what it is today. It's just that we're going to be excavating for footings. For those
yeah, you're
beams.
going down
Yeah,
3+ feet plus
Plus,
more than the
right.
width of, so you're probably excavating underneath them.
Yeah.
Tree's roots, like under the actual.
Yeah.
Trunk of the tree itself,
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah.
But. And you could try it, I guess, it's.
Okay. So I think we can agree, to that the hedge can go down to 6 feet. That's an easy one. I think that we can look at the location of those piers in relation to the existing plantings.
I don't
And-
think that our recommendation would be contingent on that. Or would it? You're just making a suggestion, not, it wouldn't be a contingency, or would it?
So. I would be comfortable with the actual location of the piers moving a little bit east to west.
Okay.
Right.
And leaving that to staff,
Okay.
that, having little wiggle room is probably helpful, I think.
And it's reality, yeah. Is there anything else you would like to say?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
I do have a quick question if I can. With that 6 feet hedge, does it cause visibility issues for cars coming out? Coming to the raid, people walking on the path?
You mean, is it too high?
Mhm.
As people are exiting the parking lot. Well, we have it, I believe 3 feet back, from that corner, where the paving, comes together.
And you've got the whole sidewalk.
And then
Which is about 10.
in terms of traffic, yeah, I think it's even larger than that. Yeah.
Right.
Vision triangle.
There's no
Yeah.
tree lawn on that sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Any other questions or discussion? Would any commissioner like to make a motion?
Quick question.
Oh.
We make it contingent upon just investigating the canopy with the 6 foot tall hedges with the existing trees.
What's your concern?
Well, I guess just making sure that we're not going to lose the existing trees based on.
You think it should be shorter because of the existing trees, is your concern?
Yeah, I guess that would be my concern. I guess, Matt, what would your thought on that be?
Because, can you go back to the page with the current image of the trees?
Yeah, top right.
Is this current? How old is this photograph?
It's current.
That's current, basically current.
So your issue is that the
Yeah.
trees, the break length for the branches is well below 6 feet.
Correct.
Can you make that larger? We just had the tree, we have a maintenance company that just brought everything up and I'm not sure. They just pruned the heck out of those trees and topped the other trees, so. I can't tell from that if that's current or
I
not.
mean, the commission, the ruling is that it can't be over 6 feet. It can be under if it's needed for the tree environment. And I don't know that we care. I think they want 6 feet because of the quality of the room space
Yeah.
that they're trying to shield. So do you want to make it a contingency? Or would you understand what's going on, or do you want to hold?
No, I think that's, I don't want to hold up just for that one item. I think, there's been a substantial improvement there. I do like the metal awning, so I think we
All right, okay, all right. Who would like to make a motion?
Okay.
I think they're looking at you.
I'll make a motion to approve with staff approval of the final pier location with some ability to slide that east or west to accommodate the design.
And I think the greenery no taller than 6 feet.
And the hedge to the south no taller than 6 feet.
I second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? We're good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
looking forward to it this evening.
Thanks.
I know, I see. Awesome. Hey, it's Nicole. Well, actually, no. I should address you gentlemen first. Would you please raise your right hand? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Would you like to introduce yourself, the record, and your role on the project?
I'm Doug Irvin, the Director of Planning and Development for the Stonehenge Company.
And I'm John Lyman with MA Design.
Thank you, gentlemen. Ms. Nicole.
Yes, the application is a request for action for a new construction and exterior building alteration and a lot split combination. Proposed work description includes modification to previously submitted materials. And updated packet, the updated packet includes details for the windows in the tower building, the plan for the amenity deck, including perspective layout, and the lighting plan. The staff analysis is the following, was taken from the November 2nd Brewery District Commission of the now approved meeting minutes. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Mather noted concern that the bone white color could read as unfinished. However, the reflectivity of the architectural metal panels could alleviate this concern. Commissioner Berardi brought up the idea of using a darker grout below to make the white panels pop. Commissioner Leisure asked whether the green was expected to read as lighter and daylight as shown on the renderings compared to the physical sample provided. Commissioner Hunt observed that the lime green color reads very subdued on the renderings and asked whether that would be the reality or whether the applicant expected that color to read more brightly. Commissioner Hunt asked whether the louvers on the sunshade would be removable. Commissioner would like to see a full-scale site plan that shows all of the public spaces and landscaping details. For the amenity deck, the commission would like to see surface materials and furnishings, both removable and fixed if applicable. Commissioners would like to see a full landscape plan with details about specific plantings, species included. Commissioners would also like to see a lighting plan. The commission preferred the lighting shining down on the tower building to highlight it, while appreciating the uplighting of the single-story warehouse to emphasize the children's field sign. Commissioner Hunt noted the stair tower would not be a beacon, so careful attention to how it is lit is needed. Commissioners requested product information for the windows on the tower. Commissioner Berardi asked whether the pellet and purview windows that were mentioned are on the approved window list. Commissioner Hunt clarified that green color would not be used anywhere on the, would not be used anywhere on the warehouse. The commission asked if balconies would be added to the tower building, as it appears as though there are Juliet balconies on the north elevation of the tower. And Commissioner Mather asked if is proposing to add lights to the soffit of the tower building. For some staff notes, a full scale site plan with all landscaping requested at the last hearing has yet to be provided. The current site plan does not address the south courtyard space between the tower and the warehouse. A landscape plan that includes the south courtyard with details about specific plantings as requested at the last hearing is yet to be provided. The Pella and Permia windows currently proposed for the tower and warehouse are featured on the approved windows list. However, are only approved for replacing casement windows. Staff does not support the use of applied or in between the glass feature grids. Details about the products proposed for the other openings, both windows and doors on the new construction portion of the proposal, and the replacement doors for the tower and warehouse is subject to review by the commission. A conceptual level landscape plan for the rear, the west courtyard was submitted to HBO staff, following feedback from the last hearing. The courtyard is proposed to be paved with 12 by 24 inch dry-grade pavers, and would contain 4 planting beds and 3 large pointers. The proposed courtyard would include overhead string lights and steps leading from the lawn to the paved area. Additional steps would lead to the garage. The landscape plan for the west courtyard does not contain any details about plant material, as requested by the commission, or any details about the materials to be used for the planting beds, canters, steps, or the string lights. The staff recommendation that staff recommends continuation of the application PD-23-11-007 841-843 South Front Street, 835 South Front Street, and 66 to 68 Whittier Street, to allow the applicant time to gather the additional materials requested by the commission. The basis for that staff recommendation is City Code 311611, standards for alteration 1 through 12. City Code 311612, standards for new constructions, A through N. City Code 311613, standards for site improvements, A, B, C, and D. And the Brewery District Guidelines for design considerations on page 13 and 15 for context. Street alignment, height, scale, and rhythm, openings, materials, and the short north design guidelines for commercial storefronts, lighting, site work, and landscaping. That's it.
Gentlemen, like to walk us through your changes, and then we can talk about what still remains.
Sure. Well, the changes that we made really to the building, we addressed the architectural comments that were made from the commission from the last meeting. The materials are intended to be the same as what we originally proposed. We did change in the rendering, and we did provide a sample there on that board. I know it's really small, but as far as the mortar, toning the mortar down so that it didn't read as white in that rendering.
Last time we met, you mean?
Well, right there in the picture, in
Oh,
the
I
upper
see.
left corner, there's a
Yeah.
material
We
board
thought
there.
of that stuff last time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
So it was in the rendering of the northeastern corner of the building, the grout in the masonry. It looked too white, which we agreed it needed to be darkened up, which we did. And then in that sample, we supplied the grout that we would be recommending right there in the middle of the page. As far as the louvers, we went through all of that last time during our meeting. They are the same. Doug actually brought a sample of the window here just so everybody can put their eyes on it.
That's for the warehouse going?
Yes.
Great.
And if I could interject, John. One thing is, well, first off, we do apologize. I looked at John, kind of perplexed as he did me. The south courtyard, maybe our memories aren't that great. I don't recall that discussion at the last meeting. So that's why we didn't provide anything. It must be this small area between where the existing warehouse is and the existing tower. We don't construe that really as a courtyard, but that's the only place on the south elevation I could think that would be. With respect to staff's comments relating the impervious window and that it is only approved for casement, I did not physically go there today, but my recollection is, in the pictures I looked at online this morning, of the Julian, I do not believe those Quaker windows are simulated divided lights. I believe they're the exact same grill detail that this Impervia window has, which is in between the glass. So it said that staff does not recommend that, but that one sticks out at me. I do not believe that that is a simulated divided light.
Well, we did, sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
as well, but going back a ways, we did get a list from Pella with all the buildings where that window was used within these district areas. So we
Yeah.
submitted that and, again, this was several months ago when we first started talking about windows.
So I just wanted to
So
state,
so I'm sorry, back to what, I don't think I understand you. So it's a window that opens like this is what they're saying it's useful for? And does that building window open like this? That's the complaint, as well as the inside the glass
This-
issue.
the window, it is similar. Julian has a hopper at the bottom as we're proposing,
A hopper.
a hopper window.
Fold out.
Oh,
Down
okay,
below.
thank you.
It would be like this. Right. And then you have the fixed light above it.
Right,
Right.
and then that would tilt out,
Yes.
So the hinge is actually at the top of the triangle.
Right.
Pops out.
so there's something, this does not, what is this?
Yeah, I guess we're just trying to clarify. I think your materials for the tower, the windows will open like a hopper.
Right.
Yes.
Which is what's there now.
Yeah.
Just really
So
good.
does that negate the comment?
Are the grids still in between the glass?
What?
Are the grids?
No,
Good.
grid, I understand grid is a separate point.
Yeah.
Does that negate the point about the wrong kind of windows and use for the wrong kind of stuff? It sounds like it does to me.
So I think we need to evaluate it. So for Pella and Privia, the reason that the casement windows are asterisked on the approved windows list as only casement is the other types of windows were evaluated at that time, but were not found to meet the criteria to replace the stored windows. In particular, the rails and the stiles were found to be overly narrow to be a good candidate to replace the stored windows. So that's why it says casement only. There are a couple of other window types I know that we've improved for metal casement, as far as replacements.
For the hopper structure that they're talking about?
For the hopper, I don't know if they evaluated the hopper specifically or not, so
There's a hopper's more like a casement to me than not a casement.
What's a casement on the side.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not fixed.
But keep in mind, with the warehouse, we're trying to simulate the look. And those windows were, single pane, very narrow, mullions. And they're not the bulky mullion that you would see like on a residential building that's historic. So
Those
I
are
don't
contemporary
think we're
windows,
apples to
I
apples.
think.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Those are contemporary windows to the building? I think.
Yes. Wait,
Do you think that they have the grid inside or in between now?
at the Julian, which
Oh,
is
the Julian.
historic, it's a different commission, downtown development commission. But,
and downtown's not a historic commission.
I'm sorry?
Downtown is not a historic commission.
Okay. I will tell you, for me to go to something that I believe that anytime I get to something that appears as a more of a divided light, I get forced into the mullions and everything get bigger. It's in my opinion, it's moving the wrong direction from trying to replicate what's there, which is a very poorly designed metal window that hasn't held up real well over time.
Do we have a
But the mullions
recommendation?
are.
Yeah, the mullions are very small.
Yeah, do we have a recommendation that would hold the size of the volumes to a rational level that we know would work?
Well, there's a couple of other windows that might work on the list. Let's see, there's two that are actually on the approved windows list. So the Universal 700 series and the Weather Shield Premium series. There's also a window that's recently been approved as a test case by the Historic Resources Commission. And so far, it seems like it's been a successful test case.
Which is which one?
So that's the Graham windows. So they've been a test case for the Ford Motor, also known as the Kroger Building, as well as the Indianola Junior High School. So those have been the test cases that have actually been installed, and you can see how they've been applied.
I mean, I know divided light's much harder to maintain.
Well, it is. In some of these other windows, what we also have to work to is around our energy codes and the thermal breaks with these windows. So our experience with Graham is that there is a thermal break issue for us meeting MEC.
I think it's pretty clear we're not gonna resolve it today.
Well, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now that we're talking about
Windows.
thermal breaks,
Okay.
for the windows that were approved, the test cases, or the other ones that are approved for casement that are not simulated divided lights, are the lights exterior to the glass? And does the glass stop at the light? Or does the glass stop at the button?
For non-casement, yeah, they're always gonna be exterior, they're not gonna be in between the glass, that's not, the detail.
But the glass doesn't stop for the approved windows. Like they're just.
Like a
mounted
clear
to the
divided light is
exterior.
what you're asking, right?
Yeah, I think.
And those are the approved ones.
Yeah,
So a thermal break is not an issue.
It's around the perimeter. The
The
gram
thermal
windows,
break around the perimeter.
the gram window. Last time I looked at them,
So in the test cases, who's the maker on those?
the gray windows.
Those are gray windows?
Yeah, that's what the test.
What are the maker, who's the maker on the casement windows that are?
For casement windows, so Pella does improve casement or we have an improved casement window for Pella. For other windows to replace like the steel kind of sash items, there's the Universal 700 series and then the Weather Shield Premium series, and those are both on the list.
Have you guys looked into those?
I have not.
I recommend you look into those.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking we can't make the window decision today. You guys have to go back and look at the other
Looks like-
options.
I hear you, and I'm gonna take pictures of lots of historic buildings.
Good. Okay. We love to travel a lot.
I suspect that we're gonna be able to find a window that's gonna work for the application, the styling, without dealing with poor performance.
Well, I would hope so. But again, I just want to stress that we're trying to replicate the look of the tower building windows. And,
If you
and
come back to us and say the only stuff that's out there has fat mount mullions, we'll pay attention. That's what we're asking you to do the research on.
Yeah. Well, I guess the point I was trying to make is
Oh, I'm sorry.
what's in that
That one.
tower is not a residential window.
It's
It's
a-
an industrial window, right?
Right.
So I also believe the Kroger building with the brand windows, also the historic tax credit project, not that it's necessarily apples to apples, but I do know going through that process is fairly rigorous and there's a lot of detail put in place to review windows. I think the surface applied bodies with the spacer bar with, the flat volume in the back, really maintains that integrity. It adds a little bit of depth and shadow to the window.
Yeah.
As opposed to, where it's on the inside. So I think that's part of the concern.
Definitely. I think it'd be really hard for us to approve the muntin on the interior of the glass. It's just, it doesn't achieve the same effect. It looks great in the graphic you gave us, which are the 2D shop drawings, or a snippet of the 2D shop drawings, but it doesn't really read three-dimensional. And as a historic, I can see the downtown commission approving that. Makes sense to me, but as a historic commission, gives me pause.
Okay.
Understood.
We look forward to the travelogue.
Great.
I suspect the Historic Resources Commission would agree with this.
Do you know?
That's a
I think the Historic Resources Commission would offer the same feedback.
Yes. Consistent with code, nice.
Okay.
We'll explore it.
Excuse me?
We'll explore it.
Okay, good. We appreciate that.
So, going back to that south courtyard area.
Yeah, there is a south courtyard on the plan.
Yeah, it's right there. I know you can't really see it in that picture, but between the two buildings. So what you can see is all the overhead wires that are on Whittier there.
Mhm.
And Doug's actually talking to Columbus City Power to see what can be done with that.
Good.
But our electric feed to both buildings come in on that south side of the building.
Mhm.
And we're gonna have to redo all the electric, and we're gonna have to have a site location for the transformer. So on the tower building, at the very southeastern corner on the east face of the building, is where all the power comes in now. And then the other ones right across, on the warehouse building. So we're reserving that space exteriorly for the transformer that we know we're gonna have to have. And that side is the only side the three-phase comes into the building.
The south patio is in between the Jones Hill building and the tower, right?
And
So you're gonna put the transformer
You can probably,
here?
well, if you went online, you could probably.
That's the page 22, it's the site plan. Yeah. So when I look at this, it just doesn't show what all's happening at the ground level around the building. And I think we have to have that to approve it. That just you know,
That area on the south is really not intended to be used because we know we're gonna need utilities in that area. So we know we're gonna have to have a transformer. We know we're gonna have to have a secondary enclosure.
In between the two buildings in
between
that
the two
south.
buildings.
so I
You
would
think of
ask,
that as a utility corridor then?
Unfortunately, it has to be because the three-phase only comes in on Whittier. There is electric on Bank Street, behind those houses, but that's all single-phase stuff. So, we need much larger service size. And, those transformers and secondary enclosures nominally could be easily 10 by 10. So we have to have a home for that because that's the only ground space that we have available to us.
so, I'll just blanket statement, at the ground level, we need to know what's happening on your site plan. And just, is there lawn on the north side of the building, or is there ground cover? What's happening in that space between, I see a couple trees noted. Is that complete landscape plan that someone's gonna build? No,
It's a design concept plan,
right, but, need a little more information, I think, so. I just don't know what's happening at the ground level based on this plan.
Well, on the south side, again, we're not intending to do anything there other than clean it up because we know we're gonna have to have electric there.
Then show that on the plan so we can review it.
We agree that the Olympus with the transformers and the the described named south patio,
It's the only land we have available.
you can't do it on the west side of the building?
The tower building goes right, it sits on the right of way line. There's no space. We also, in the southwestern corner of the warehouse building, on the western side there is a door, there's a partial basement in that building. And so we intend to reuse that basement for our water service. So we need to keep that door there and we need to preserve the ground space for the electrical transformer equipment.
Which we would see in a ground floor plan that you would say used for.
You would see a couple boxes, because we don't know exactly what size
But
it's
you
gonna
would
be.
say, here's what's going here and here's what's going here, we know what we've got.
Yes.
From the property line on the north side to the proposed garage, is that a slope? Was that what's happening there, I guess?
Well, it's gonna be filled because if you
Right.
remember, as you go towards the house that's to the north there's a pretty steep embankment there.
Right.
So our basement wall where the parking is basically gonna serve as a retaining wall. And so we'll bring the dirt up and level that out so that it blends in with the adjacent property.
Okay, I mean, that's good to know. I'm asking questions because we don't have that information, but I think that's the right solution. I just think that should be on here, so we understand that.
Is that covered in this? Stuff you submitted?
There's a topo on sheet 3. So I think what's
Thank
like,
you. Okay.
I think it's just layering the information on there, notating it.
Yeah.
You guys have a little trash, so you're just gonna wheel that out to the street.
Remote, yep.
Yeah, so this is existing topo, right? Yeah, so.
Yes.
You're looking for the new.
Well, the only new grading that we're gonna be doing is on that north side. I mean, because everything's existing. I mean, the warehouse is existing, the tower building's existing. So,
You understand though that while we trust and believe you,
Yeah,
we can't give a judgment unless we see it physically in our set of stuff.
are you planning to, and I'm not suggesting you do this, but do you need access, down that north side? Some sort of walkway, or is it just lawn, or, you got a pretty tall building between two, in a pretty small space, so.
Mhm.
Is
That's
that,
why it's probably gonna be a dog park, Matt, in turf area, and if people need to walk through there, they would have to walk through the garage.
okay,
Again, because we're pretty tied up against our neighbors, so I'm trying not to be a really bad neighbor and increase any.
that's part of why
I'd
I'm
like
asking
to-
these
Yeah.
questions, yeah. right.
Yeah, really trying to shut that down as much that they can enjoy some privacy.
Okay. So do we have questions about the changes that they have made? Or should we just focus on what we're waiting? You guys feel like we understand the changes they've made? And we're comfortable so far?
Yes.
All right, so I think the good news about this staff report is that stuff is underlined that you committed to us. So you have a copy of this, yes?
I do.
Okay. So we can say full scale site plan that shows all the public spaces and landscaping details. That's what Matt's asking for. Amenity deck, do you guys materials and furnishings?
Yeah, I think that's in there.
We provide.
Okay, good. Okay, so we should walk through that. Commissioners like full landscape plan, details about specific plannings, that's included. We do have that? No, so second thing. Lighting plan, you have that?
Yep.
Okay, but just the windows, all right, so we have lighting plans, we should look at that. Product information we know is a problem. So we're really close, you guys. Full site, I know you wanted to go today, and I'm sorry that we can't get there, so full site plan and full landscape plan, and we need to resolve the window question.
So can you clarify the full site plan? Because we
Yes.
have a full site plan in there.
The
I understand the
landscape.
landscape part. I
Yeah,
understand
that's
that.
what we're talking about.
Well, but it's noted two different ways, so just so I can
Just
make
so we're
sure.
clear, shows all the public spaces and landscaping details,
Okay,
okay?
can we strike the public? Because there isn't a public space on the site.
I think amenity space is what they're
Yeah,
intent.
We can say, instead of public spaces, we can say amenity spaces, how's that? Can you make that change, Nicole?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Because I want to be really clear, so we.
I do too.
For you guys next time. We're on board.
I think if it's, you can locate potential spot for the transformer. And then, if it's indeterminate whether the rest of it's going to be amenity space or it does need to be more utilities in that area, just some language in that area about what it could be or might be used over.
Right.
And I don't see it being an accessible space.
Much to my dismay, but I understand your
I
point.
think we've heard it as accessible space in the past, so.
Right.
I think
It's an outdoor space,
So the
but
confusion,
by the time we put them transformers that are yay high, I mean, you guys have all seen them. They're all over the place.
we're all over the board. Okay,
Yeah.
we're okay. Do we need to see these elements? Or are we willing to let the staff make a determination? I think we need to see them, yes.
yeah, and so the other thing that I think we were talking about last time was how the front entry of the building interfaces with the adjacent property. And I don't know if that's been resolved here, but I know there's a grade change and some other issues. Maybe it has, and I'm asking that question, but.
We did that in a rendering.
The civil engineer hasn't completed their plans yet, so that grading part's not
So
done.
that's a third.
I know in the rendering, we showed it connecting to the adjacent sidewalk with the adjacent house. We're gonna basically build a rectangular plan through there at the property line.
Okay.
And that northern side would end up being somewhat of a retaining wall.
But we would get a documented plan back in our next meeting to show that.
It's kind of there now, but
Okay.
we need to clarify it.
Show it to us if we need to buy off on it today. So we need to look at the amenity deck plan, the lighting plan to make sure we're all lined up on those.
Okay.
That's the amenity deck plan,
The elevated,
elevated amenity deck plan.
right.
That's the one on the second floor. Got it.
Yes,
Okay.
that's one that faces south.
We're cool. All right.
Okay.
Lighting plan.
I think that's, so none of that is visible. None of those elements are visible from the street, which is
Right.
why and it's all temporary in nature, so
Right.
that's why we're cool with that.
Yeah,
Lighting.
Don't have light fixtures, so.
there were like fixture specs.
I don't think specs, because the ones up in the tower are really just gonna be recessed can light fixtures.
Yeah,
And then,
I swear I saw them. But
It's in there.
yeah,
yeah, I saw them there.
Page 27.
Sorry, what was the page?
27?
I mean, that last picture is pretty much what we're gonna do on that north side.
And I believe there's more on the next page as well.
Anything else we need to ask about this? I think we're good. Okay, so just to be clear,
I'm sorry, finish, please.
I was gonna wrap up, so.
Yeah.
I was just gonna have her go back 2 slides.
Okay,
I think it's 2 slides. Next one. Yeah, if you can zoom in on that right side, the right image. Wait, next one, I'm sorry, next one back, next one back. Yeah, that's the detail that you were talking about with our, where the numbers are 841. You know, that's the new plants that we would be building. And
And that shows the
that
stair.
ornamental stair is the neighbor's stair. And there's like that much space there. And so we would like it to be finished.
But is there something else you'd like to see there that we can provide?
So I guess, maybe on this diagram, you could show the property line approximately. I know this isn't rendering, so I get it.
Well, it's off the Revit model though, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And you are proposing to build that wall across the property line and tie into so.
With the neighbor's consent?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be,
Which I think that's the right solution. So from my perspective, it's just making sure that we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
That would be the most clean
right.
design solution.
You wouldn't have a hole there.
We wouldn't have a hole and it ties together and
Right.
have you talked to the neighbor? I know this is not
I
important.
have.
I have sent them 3 letters.
Remember, you had tried to, I just think they're gonna.
And maybe it's my last name. I don't know.
I doubt it.
And I've knocked on the door as well. It has, it transferred some time ago. Now I've met all my other neighbors. I met the attorneys on the corner and, you know, when I'm out and about, they're very social, nice people. But, and then I met some of the people in the condos that have appeared here for awnings on the 2nd floor. Nice people, but I've not met my immediate neighbor.
If they wanted to put up a fence, could they?
Anybody can, you gotta get a permit.
Okay, that's fine, just check.
No, you don't under 6 feet,
Oh, that's right,
under 6 feet, you don't.
yeah.
Okay,
There is one other light fixture, that was noted in the comments about the west courtyard area and the Tivoli lights that we have shown in there. So I did bring, I know I'm not supposed to bring things to the meeting, but this is supplemental information in terms of the type of light pole.
for which light fixture?
It's in the west courtyard space on the ground. We're showing Tivoli lights above. They're being supported by a pole
Oh, I see.
or being strung from a pole.
Right.
So I brought, a fixture that we would use that has a decorative pole and
You guys wanna see it? Sure, bring it over.
Approach the bench.
Yeah, please approach the bench. I'll send her to that. You guys can start. All right, so I think we are down to, are we okay so far?
So are you proposing the included version or the simplified?
the simplified.
Okay.
Simplified.
Yeah, that's.
Right answer.
Yeah.
No, we're not trying to be colonial Williamsburg.
Good. So annotating the site plan to show all of the amenity spaces and landscaping details is the principal item, I think.
The core thing that I think we need collectively is what is the surface treatment? To the extent you can know right now
Mhm.
of all the exposed site areas. So is it lawn, is it ground cover, is it gravel pavement? Because, you need to put a transformer in, is it paved with that like
Well,
concrete?
we would definitely have to have concrete to set the transformers on.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what
That's
I'm.
what he's looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we also say details about specific planting species included.
Yeah, and so ideally, yes. Yeah, so same with all your trees, there's some trees on there, so that would just be helpful.
Do you know that?
I'm sorry?
Do you guys know that information yet?
No, I do not.
Yeah, I will talk to our landscape architect.
Are you worried about providing it? Do we need to?
I'm not worried about providing it. And Commissioner Hunt, I'm reading my staff recommendation pages of,
Uh-huh.
what page exactly are you on?
I'm on the very first page, all the underlined stuff.
Okay, because I was also going through the list on 2.
Sophie is gracious enough in the minutes to underline everything that is an action item that we are expecting from the applicants. It is something that I think is very helpful.
Right, so,
I'm only looking at that stuff. I think only the first bullet underlined and the third bullet underlined are outstanding. Plus the window.
Have door cut sheets been submitted?
Sorry, what?
Door cut sheets?
Exterior doors.
Yeah, I guess we don't have those yet either. We didn't ask for them yet.
I would feel good. I mean.
exterior doors, we have one.
Staff.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
We need to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
We need door cut sheets, but we're gonna say staff approval on those.
Okay.
Okay?
And-
And will you make it really clear, item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4,
And which doors,
what they are responsible for bringing back to us?
which doors are we referring to?
Probably all the exterior doors.
All exterior doors.
Well, we have 2.
On the warehouse, we have 2.
Then we
3
have
if you
one-
include the one that goes into the basement.
Yeah.
And then on the main tower buildings, just that south end, really.
South end entry that we were trying to rework what's already there.
Okay, so, yes,
We would also need cut sheets for the like balcony doors and doors, so it's any space of the exterior.
Okay,
so you'll spell that out in the door cut sheet section? Okay, good.
Is that part of your storefront system?
Your wood system?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
Okay,
yeah, on the new building.
right.
yes.
Right, I'm wondering if, and this is probably not standard, what the hell? Door cut sheets we're comfortable you guys can do without us. And I thought, would it be possible for us to appoint a commissioner or two to be, somebody who can give them feedback before the next meeting to make sure we've got everything we need? And arguably then it could be a staff sign off?
Well, you could have a subcommittee. But otherwise, there's a lot of components here to come back.
I would like to be able to say, I would delegate my authority to Mr. Leisure, Commissioner Leisure, and maybe one other person to be able to look at the landscape plan and the site details and be more educated than I would be about having to a conclusion about them, and maybe we can get these guys out the door faster.
As a subcommittee.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
It's a great idea.
Yeah, that's,
So the subcommittee would be like an approval with a condition.
Yes.
So
Contingent on subcommittee's approval. You know, we'll approve, call to action contingent on subcommittee's approval or staff approval on the items that we have listed.
yes, and the subcommittee can direct it back to the commission. So yeah.
Right, if we don't get it, or if you get it 2 days before the next meeting, don't worry about the subcommittee, we'll just deal with it. I'm just trying to say, if you guys can get your stuff together before that, I would think we could get you out the door. I don't want you to come back. If you come back, I want you, no questions. Yeah. Who else would like to sit on the subcommittee with Commissioner Leisure?
I'll sit on the side.
Okay. So of these, I mean, I trust these guys implicitly to give you good advice and represent us. So if you can get your stuff together faster, these guys will meet with you and give you feedback with staff, right? I assume it has to be a physical meeting, could it be over the phone?
No, it's email, so the materials for the subcommittee are submitted to just the regular staff email.
Right,
Then staff will forward it to commissioners on the subcommittee. They'll have a week to review and respond. Once we get that back, we'll forward.
can they talk to each other as part of that?
I don't think that would be recommended. So you give your opinions, and then if everything both agree, looks good to go, let the applicant know.
But if we have to iterate, just in case we have to iterate, these guys will try to give it as fast as they can.
Yep.
And you guys be prepared to do one more iteration if we have to. I assume we can do that? Okay.
So you come back, you mean?
No, without coming back to the commission they did one iteration to look at stuff. If they get to it fast and don't wait the full week, then you give the feedback quickly. And then if there's one outstanding item, they can give it back to us and we can.
Revise the drawings based on the feedback
Exactly.
of the subcommittees.
And then I think our motion can be contingent upon the subcommittee or staff approval, depending on that.
And what's the timeline of this
The
process?
question, the question you have to ask, can you do it? If you can get it done fast, these guys will pony it back to you fast.
So it doesn't have to comply with the regular meeting schedule and meeting due date?
Trying to avoid the next meeting and meeting due dates.
Okay.
Right, so you would submit the materials to staff would then forward that to commission subcommittee, but it sounds like if it's not submitted until it's already time for the next meeting or the following meeting, I suppose, then maybe you guys welcome back.
Yeah. Although the value of doing it this way is if there is an issue, we get it resolved and they don't have to come back. I would like to do that.
Right.
So
For the
these guys
January
will
meeting?
jump in the pool and try to get back to you as fast as possible. Hopefully staff can support that. I know you guys have a lot on your queue. And we will be as responsive as we can be to you guys just to try to get you done. And today we'll do a motion that says contingent upon this committee approval and the staff approval, we approve, I think.
And is our point of contact still Sophia?
Yeah, because it all has to be done at arm's length. We can't just get together in a room and say.
No, I understand it, and she's not here today, so I didn't know
Yeah.
if there was a change or
Yeah,
something. but-
she's back next week.
She's back next week, and if, in the meantime, we're monitoring the inbox. If it comes
Okay.
in tomorrow, we'll process it.
But you'll emphasize to her the need for speed.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Is the commission comfortable with the subcommittee approving the window selection?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Yes,
Thanks.
that's why he's. Okay.
Yeah.
So this we can do, I think.
Are the windows of subject for both buildings or just the tower building?
I think it's just the tower.
Okay.
Right? That's the tower building, that's
That's the historic structure.
Correct.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, the Jones Heel stuff is keeping the existing windows, the perimeter.
We are.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Well, the warehouse, we're rebuilding those, the
Yeah.
Yeah,
ones that are
the
in.
ones that are existing, we're gonna.
We're gonna rework and
Okay.
rebuild, yeah.
Which is the
No
tower.
new windows are those that,
I'm sorry?
no new windows.
No,
For the
Above.
Jones Heel part.
In the residential.
well, the new part, but not the warehouse wall that's there.
Yeah, we're not making any new openings for a new
It's
window.
kind of like the warehouse is a container.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, whether it's the historic part or the newer part, if there's new windows going in, that they're removed and they need.
So
They-
you
well,
repair the existing windows. Is that what, is
Refurbishing.
that correct?
Well, let's back up for a second. In the existing warehouse on the east side, there's a couple, 3, 4, 5 windows, I forget how many, they wrap around on the south side. We're gonna refurbish those and repaint them and reuse them. On the east side, at the entry, at that northern piece, which is technically north of the existing warehouse. So that is part of the new construction. I mean, we do have windows and doors at that grade level, but that's intended to be storefront, which matches what's going on up above.
Makes sense to me.
Okay? Just want to be clear.
Let's be clear. I think that's very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
If anything else comes up, I trust these guys to make a good recommendation.
while we're on the windows, is everybody okay with the glass and glazing system that we're proposing for the tower stairs on the west side of the tower?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. If you want to come back to this next meeting just to celebrate, we're fine with that too. Since this is the
I don't want to wear out my welcome.
The 15th cycle, oh, we're way past that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so who would like to make the motion? Okay, I'll make the motion. So we move to approve
I'm not sure.
what?
Can the chair make a motion? I know the chair can second the motion.
Okay, go ahead. Who would like to make the motion? Commissioner Leisure?
So I'll make a motion to approve the project with the secondary approval of the subcommittee
Contingent on.
contingent upon the approval of the subcommittee and staff.
Right, depending on the items. Right now, the only item that we said for staff is the door cut sheet.
Yes,
Everything else has to be the committee, and the committee will be composed of you and Commissioner Mallon.
correct.
And we will do everything in our power to give as expeditious a response as possible,
Subcommittee will be as expeditious as possible.
as will the client, do
Yes.
everything in our power to get the shit from as soon as possible. Excuse my language.
The words.
For worse.
Not public, go ahead. Is there anything else we need to say there?
Just for the record, the items that are going to subcommittee, just a list of those would be.
A complete landscape plan
With species,
with species and pavements or other surface materials noted.
right, right, including transformer goes here, even if we don't know, right?
Yes.
And the windows in the tower.
Right,
Those ones.
to an accepted
Yeah.
window structure with hopefully the mullions showing the depth that they need to show.
Yes.
I think, is that all?
So it's really those two items for,
Just
for,
the two?
for
That's it. Just
Okay, and
Landscape
then
plan.
cut sheets for
landscape
doors.
plan and windows.
Windows and then the door cut sheets, and all that we said to staff. Got it.
Is there a second for the motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope you guys are happy with the design.
I think it's light years. I hope you're happy with it.
Oh, yeah. And more important, the client's happy about it.
Good.
And that's,
No,
and
we are.
hopefully the public will be happy about it.
And for what it's worth, and I've said this publicly before, do appreciate all of your comments and I believe it's made it a better project.
Oh, yeah.
So I really believe that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Wish you had made me haul this window down here. Thanks. Anybody want to buy a window?
No, thank you.
Can staff get the copy of the
Cut sheet?
lighting for, as you guys.
All right. Next time, sorry you can sit through all that.
That's okay.
We're the work with you, Commissioner. Right? Okay, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I will.
And would you like to introduce yourself and your role on the project?
Yes, I'm Rebecca Mott with the Plank Law Firm with an office address of 411 East Town Street, Columbus, Ohio 43215. We represent the applicant and the unit owners of a certain building of this office condominium complex.
All right,
This
Ms. Nicole.
here. This application is BD 23-12-004, 9 to 25 West Caucasus Street. It's a request for action for a variance recommendation request. The proposed work description, including the items, the variance recommendation request. There is a use variance requested. It is section 3333.04 of the zoning code that permits certain residential and commercial uses in the AR 0 apartment office district. Applicant is requesting a use variance and in the one or more of the units comprising the property to permit a hair or barber salon, uses within ancillary with other ancillary personal services such as nails, massage, and facials. There are also area variances requested. Those include section 2312.21A of the zoning code that requires the interior of any parking lot containing 10 or more parking spaces to be landscaped. The existing parking lot, which contains 18 parking spaces, requires 2 interior landscaping areas. The applicant is requesting a variance from the landscaping requirement or to legitimize the existing parking layout as depicted on the site plan. There is section 3333.24 of the zoning code that requires each dwelling, apartment house, or other principal building in the ARO apartment office district to provide a rear yard totaling no less than 25% of the total lot area. The applicant is requesting a variance to legitimize the existing rear yard, which is 6%. It's section 3372.604 of the zoning code that requires a minimum setback for parking lots to be 5 feet. The applicant is requesting a variance to provide a setback of 1 foot in order to legitimize the existing parking lot. Section 3372.605D of the zoning code requires each primary building frontage to have at least 60% of the area between the height of the 2 feet and 10 feet above the nearest sidewalk or shared use path grade. To be clear, non-tinted window glass permitting a view of the building's interior to a minimum depth of 4 feet. Or for a secondary building frontage, the pattern of window glass shall continue from the primary frontage of a minimum distance of 10 feet. The applicant is requesting a variance from this section to legitimize the existing conditions of the brick building constructed on the property. It is section 3312.49 and section 3372.060609 of the zoning code, which reduces the required number of off-street parking spaces under section 3312.49 by 25% for all uses other than eating or drinking establishments smaller than 5,000 square feet, and an additional 25% for retail uses. And the applicant is requesting a variance from the 27 off-street parking spaces required by section 3312.49. Using and assuming the most intense use calculation for each floor within the use of the building, in conjunction with section 3372.609, in order to legitimize the existing 18 parking spaces on the property. The staff analysis is that there are no proposed exterior modifications to the site at this time. All area variances sought for approval are to legitimize the existing conditions of the site, and the use variance requested will result in no exterior modifications to the site. The staff recommendation is that staff recommends the commission recommend application BD-23-12-005 and 25 West Poplar Street as submitted. The basis for the staff recommendation is the Brewery District guidelines on variances and rezoning processes. That is all.
May I approach your bench with some handouts? We have removed one of our area variances, so I'd like to update the list.
Okay, great, thank you.
And there have been a few changes to the site plan only to accommodate the city staff response letter.
Okay,
This is just a packet of some of the applications. Which one is correct?
okay, so please, yes. Would you like to describe what's in the packet?
Sure. The first page is a site plan with now the gray shaded area. The gray shaded area will constitute a new meets and bounds legal description. This will be the area on the zoning map for this property that will contain the council variance that's the subject of this application. The reason why this is a bit confusing is this entire property with that other building in the white are all part of an office condominium. So basically every building has units in it that are, on our side, the Cosset Street side, they're 2-story. And on the other building, the white one, that's not subject of this application. I don't know how many stories they have, but they only have 3 units. The 3 units in the white are not subject to this application for the use variance or the area variances, and they're not our clients. So just the gray shaded area will be a new legal description for the area for the council variance. The legal description we submitted with the application was the legal description that would be for a condo, which is also in the source deeds for the dwelling or the units, which is legitimate for transfer purposes. But just for zoning purposes, we are creating a meets and bounds legal for the gray area. The gray area shows 9 units within the Cosset Street building. Those 9 units are owned by various entities, companies, people. Those are all of our clients. And the parking spaces and all of the paved areas in this entire property here are considered common elements under the condominium scheme of ownership. So every building owner, unit owner owns an undivided interest in the common area: grass, parking, drive aisles, circulation, access, etc. So that's sort of a backdrop of this site plan. The site data table in the far right corner, I would like to talk about this a little bit. Could you zoom into the far right corner top of the site plan? There's a parking data table and a site data table. It's a little further up there. Hope you can see this. So this parking data table gives you the first floor square footage for every single unit within the Cosset Street building, as well as the second floor square footage. If we assume the most intense use that could be put to each floor, we are calculating what the parking requirement would be under the code. There's also a reduction of the parking requirement based on the UCO, the commercial overlay that is applied. So there's a 50% reduction for office and a 25% I'm probably saying that wrong. Let me look at it, but it's hard for me to read. One second, please. Yes, there's a 50% reduction for retail uses and a 25% reduction for office uses. So basically, the use variance is to allow for an extra use for every one of these units that are not permitted today under the code. The current zoning is ARO, which is apartment residential office. That would allow residential uses. That would allow a whole host of office uses. So typically your office uses would be on the first floor, your residential on the top floor. When we add the higher intensity retail salon use to each of potentially the first floors of every building, that's why we're using the higher intensity parking calculations for first floor retail. The retail use has a hair salon, barber salon, facial, massage, nail salon, those types of services obviously won't be put into every single first floor unit, or there'd be such competition, you'd be driving each other out. However, the use variance would permit each and every one to have that from time to time. It's just not practical that all would be doing it at the same time. So again, we use all of the highest intensity uses for every floor, and we multiply that by 9 at the bottom of the table. That calculates the parking standard at 27 required. We have 18 spaces shown. The 18 is an existing condition. There's no more room to stripe any more spaces. So that is variance number in your list now today, number 4. The old number 2 variance for a rear yard is no longer needed. A rear yard of 6.25% that you see on the board is no longer applicable. The new site plan in your site data table shows, and it's hard for me to read without my magnifying glass, I apologize. I think it's over 40%. The reason for that is in really reviewing all of the definitions of the zoning code for rear yard and rear yard percentage, you are allowed to utilize parking spaces. So parking spaces are considered part of court, and the word court is in the word rear yard. So parking spaces, courts, grassy areas are all considered rear yard. So now the percentage is higher for our rear yard. We meet the code standard. So we no longer need a variance. We remove that in your sheet. So there's only 4 total. The other 2 variances relate to existing conditions again. There's supposed to be 2 shade trees in a parking lot of this size, but this is an existing parking lot, existing building, existing structure. And so we want to legitimize the current conditions of the property and not have to damage the parking areas that we need, and add in end islands or parking islands with 2 shade trees. So that's the first variance. And then that third one relates to the brick building doesn't have a lot of glass from 2 feet to 10 feet that allow for a transparency look into the buildings. And that's just an existing condition as well. So that's the use variance and all 4 of the area variances by description. Are there any questions?
The impetus for this change was?
Yes. So during COVID, as you know, where law offices utilized these spaces and other insurance agent offices utilized these spaces during COVID with remote work, hybrid work, and people working more from home, tenants left the buildings and they're having trouble filling up tenant spaces for office users. And that is what it's zoned for, office and residential. Now, curiously, their declaration or set of deed restrictions for the property doesn't allow residential. So even though the zoning would allow residential, their deed restrictions do not. They are going to amend their deed restrictions to allow the residential in the future. But right now they have a lot of interest from salons, hair salons, barber shops that provide nail services, facials, massages. So that is a very enticing market right now. It's where the market's going for this type of space. It's obviously not a large first floor space, so you're not gonna get a huge salon with a lot of traffic. It's small square footage, and again, there's no way that they could put a salon in every single first floor of this building, or you would outcompete each other. So it's just to allow and permit the potential for hair salon, nail salon users within the first
And
floors.
what's the square footage of the first floor?
Yeah, that's in my site data table, and I'm
Okay.
having trouble reading it without my magnifying glass, but the
24, okay, so
424,
500.
524.
So you're just barely over the 500, which would kicks you into 3. But because you're in the UCO, you only need 1.5 and 1.5 for the top floor. So that's
Correct.
3 per unit comes from.
In fact,
Yeah.
I use the highest intensity for the top floor, which would be residential,
Right.
which is the 1.5. And right now they're not allowed to have residential. So we're actually hurting ourselves by using the highest intensity and uses that cannot go in there today.
You're trying to set this up so they can have as many degrees of freedom as possible.
Correct. So the requirement would probably be lower. Staff may even tell me it's lower than I've reflected it. But I have no problem seeking a variance to 18 from the 27 at highest intensity. I think that's the most prudent thing to do, most responsible thing to do, and builds in the flexibility for future uses that could be any one of these things, office, residential, and retail.
I think 9 spots to be found on the street is not a big deal.
That's right. There's a lot of on-street parking in this area.
There's great transit service also.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
I'll bring my magnifying glass next time. I'm sorry.
You asked my one question.
Do you want to see a copy? Just hand it to you.
Sure.
Oh, I have more.
Do we have additional questions for Ms. Mott?
So you're not proposing to change anything. It's just administratively approving what's existing.
Right.
Correct.
On the area variances, that is true.
Yeah, on the site, in this outside the building.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And have we, I feel completely hampered on the concept of the variances and what is valid and what's not. Have we reviewed them, staff reviewed them vis-a-vis their accuracy and appropriateness, and you guys are confident that the representation is accurate?
Yes, they largely pertain to existing conditions, parking variances. We absolutely support, not having that parking minimum. Because I think that's what the zoning code is also going to update in the future. This is, supportive of adaptive reuse of this historic building. So we are supportive, reviewed it, we're okay, comfortable.
And
We're also the first step in this process, the city that moves the whole thing.
Yeah, this is the recommendation.
I just wanted to make sure that I understood what due diligence had already done. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much.
The next applicant who's been sitting there patiently for all this time, it's a very long meeting for us.
No
Will
problem.
you please raise your right hand, be sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And would you please introduce yourself and your role on this?
Yes, Joel Ronsky with Gunzelman Architecture and Interiors. We're representing the owner for this, of the project of these two buildings.
Ms. Nicole,
This is application 80-23-12-005 for 10 to 20 East Ashler Avenue. The proposed work description is it's a request for action for an exterior building alteration and landscaping. The exterior building alterations include to stain the existing entrance doors to match pertinent documentation. The color is to be Thompson water seal and tempered brown and semi-transparent. To paint the dormers on both buildings, the color is to be shown with the Healthy Dog SW9177. There is also the replacement of the light sconces per submitted documentation. Replacement of the windows per submitted documentation. And for the landscaping, replacement of the privacy fence to match existing per submitted documentation. With the stain color to be the Cabot semi-transparent and driftwood gray. And repair of the brick wall and light kind per submitted documentation. The staff analysis is the windows that were replaced with the Repel Extreme X3000 vinyl windows on 20 East Dutchler Avenue appeared to have been the original steel casement windows from the property's construction in 1945.
It's a 1945, but,
Yes.
okay.
Staff does not support the replacement of any of the steel windows with vinyl, as vinyl is not appropriate window replacement material in the Brewery district. Staff does not support the replacement of the existing double window replacements on 10 East Dutchler with the vinyl proposed replacement, noting that the windows on 20 have been replaced and the windows on 10 have not yet been replaced. Staff recommends that the applicant select a casement style window from the approved window list to replace the vinyl and other double windows in a configuration that matches that of the original as closely as possible. And for the 10 East Dutchler building, staff encourages the restoration, repair, and retention of any remaining steel windows on either property. Staff supports the replacement of the fence and like-kind staining of the door to match the existing, the painting of the dormers, and the masonry repair as shown in the submitted documentation. Staff recommendation, staff recommends continuation of the application BD-23-12-005 to allow the applicant time to revise their window replacement proposal to be more in line with the applicable city code and guidelines. The basis for the staff recommendation is City Code 31611, standards for alteration 1 through 12, especially that of 2, 5, and 6. City Code 31613, standards for site improvements, A, B, C, and D. The Brewery District guidelines for windows, fences, masonry, and lighting, and especially the Brewery District guidelines for windows, bullet point 1, 2, and 3.
Welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
Is this your first time?
At this, yes.
Good. Is there something you would like to represent about the project?
Yes, so the first thing to cover the two stains, the door stain and the fence stain are basically to match existing. The door stain is deteriorating.
I don't think there's any issue with anything
Okay.
other than
The windows?
Yeah.
Okay. So the windows on building 10 are going to be selected from the approved list. So
You have to just tell us which ones and the staff has to approve it.
okay, so it actually has to be the exact type, okay. But there's no issue on the building 20 because those have already been replaced.
No issue on building 20 because what?
Those are already just recently replaced. Is that?
So if it's been replaced, it was done without approval, so any recently replaced ones, we want to make sure they're brought back into compliance with appropriate.
You don't get to grandfather stuff that's wrong.
Okay, so those would need to be brought up to
And
something from
want
the
them to
approved,
match since they kind of
from the approved
match
list.
there. It's from the approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, do you have a copy of the staff report with you?
yes, I do.
Okay, so everything under staff analysis is really kind of what you're looking at. Beyond that, I think we're okay. But things like the masonry repair, you probably need to let you guys see the grout as well as the brick repair, because you have to match the colors. It's complex. So I don't know your background or know you, so I don't know what it is
Sure.
you've done.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, good, great.
So yes, what was it? And I think through our research, this was actually 2 walls of a garage structure at one point.
Interesting.
But at some point in time, one of the walls was removed. So at this point, there are only 2 walls of that create the back corner of and then the rest is fence.
Okay.
So the goal of the repair and replacement that's required would basically be to be with the closest match of new brick available that would match that. And that's what those brick samples are that are close to the wall. As I tried to, we tried to find some have a texture and the color variance. So our goal was to get some of that texture and color variance in the bricks that.
Physically see it. Staff needs to physically.
I have the samples.
Is the goal to replace the bricks that are spalling or coming out? Is that?
Yeah, I think that was another question we had too, is what was where it says repair a brick wall and like client, can I get a little further definition of repair? Yeah, like you said, is it just the ones that are damaged, or is it, because I know there's one picture that shows the actual corner of the 2 brick walls is pulled apart a little bit. It's not that one. There's one. I think there's a photo that shows from, that was the existing fence that was replaced, to match the existing, but there should be a photo that shows, I think it's up further towards the beginning. Yeah, go down, sorry. I think the next few photos. That one. And then the next one, yeah, so it's that corner, yeah, that corner right there. So that's where you can see why we have the two brick types, because it's actually two different brick models of brick. But then that corner, then on the CMU block, so it's not just an easy, here's the brick that we want to do. So that's what the two different bricks were. But I guess if I get some clarification on what you mean by the word repair, just so we're clear on what the goal of that is.
I'm confused. Are you asking why I, like, 2 minutes ago just said repair?
No, in the recommendation, in the staff notes where it says repair a brick and wall in like kind. If I could just get a little further definition of
I mean, okay,
repair.
let me pass something else. Maybe I'm.
Sure.
Something here. Did you intend to repair the wall? Did your client want to repair the wall?
What's the proposal options that you're thinking of?
I think that was part of that was part of the,
Oh, there's part of the.
There is a violation
Gotcha.
for this work,
Okay.
including for the windows and the brick wall, so it is part of the.
That's what I.
so, yeah, so that's what I was, yeah, so it wasn't, you weren't saying, oh, we're gonna repair the wall. It was brought to our attention that we needed to repair the brick wall.
So is it structurally sound? Is that the issue? I guess
What's the basis for the violation?
I imagine that code officers out there, they're seeing the separation, so they're worried about the structural integrity.
Yeah.
If there's any mortar voids, I'm not spotting, well, there's,
I like that in the bottom corner, yeah.
if there's anywhere else, they would want to make sure that the mortar voids are addressed. I know there's some spalling brick. I don't know if that was part of the concern that, prompted the violation. So we just want to make sure that it's in good and sound repair. It's going to stay okay for another 70
That
some years.
looks like it belongs to the wall that it is replacing. Because it's over 50 years old. It's a historic structure.
Correct, so that's why, we're just wanting clarification of what, since it was brought in the violation.
Structurally sound and also matches grout and
For the,
bricks.
so it's tuck
And
point,
you don't have to use modern sometimes if it's a small repair. They're
tuck pointing to match and then.
to match, and the color of the mortar should match, and there are historic bricks all over the village that sometimes will match stuff like this.
Okay, and then,
Maybe not the mid-50s, but
and then the spalling, sorry, the spalling bricks and replacement of those, or
the which bricks, fallen ones?
the spalling?
Oh, yeah.
Target kind of pops out.
Yeah, well, you can.
If they're not sound, then, we want to keep this sound. There's some that were spalling pretty heavily here. And then there's part of it, there's some vegetation on here, so removal of that vegetation to help keep that moisture away.
Fines.
To me, the finish on those samples is like.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
consistent.
yeah. I'd be hesitant to use the
Yeah, we're
brick
not,
brought other than really, really isolated situations, as opposed to a field set within a larger existing wall by the little footing. So when you can repair, use bricks that are already here, that would be great, or bricks that you can source from elsewhere in the neighborhood. That would be
Sure, okay,
nearly everybody has some in their backyard, just ask your friends.
okay. Yeah, and I think that was potentially an option, but I'll look into that further.
So it looks like a double
Some
wide.
people sell it, so you can also go on the neighborhood websites and ask if anybody has some that they're willing to sell or gift. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, it looks like a double wide wall. So
That is correct, yeah, because if you see, there was one photo that showed, you could see the end condition,
Right.
and it was a double.
okay. I would suspect you don't have to take out whole sections of the wall to make it right. I mean, you might have to in process and relay it with new grout, because it doesn't look like there's grout there in the corner. But I would suspect that you don't have to use new bricks in chunks. Be my guess.
Did that make sense?
It's a replacement of the smaller bricks.
I think so.
Okay.
And you may have to destroy the wall to rebuild it,
In the mortar, right.
Okay.
but I'm not a mason.
Neither am I, so, okay.
You
But
need- you
the
need
intent, I understand the
Yeah,
intent.
you need one. And you find one who does stuff in German Village that
Mhm.
they can make you have you do the right thing.
I was gonna say, sometimes really good skilled masons are able to pull out brick, flip it around, insert it, if the brick structures.
That's the tricks. Good.
Just maintaining as much historic material as possible while keeping the sound and making sure it lasts.
Sure.
And real quick, if you get a site plan, just, I think the site plan's a little confusing, so I just want to make sure I understand where all the fence is. So are you proposing to keep any existing fence or just replace all the fence, or what's, just want to make sure I get that.
That diagonal fence in the front between the buildings, that's existing to remain.
Uh,
That's on the diagonal. The fence along Pearl Alley that is adjacent to this brick wall that we talked about, that's existing to remain. And then the fence, the long run of fence that goes along building 10, all along the back of the property and ties into that brick wall we mentioned. That is actually a new fence that has been replaced to match the existing. They had some issues with the building being broken into. So from a security reason, they did replace the fence. And you can, there is a photo there of and that's where it will be stained to match the existing.
Okay,
So it's a new fence to match the existing, which is behind, on the other side of that brick wall. And then there is a previous photo of the fence in pretty bad disrepair, which was caused, those are the security concerns. So that fence, so there's no changes to the fence as it currently. I was just noting on the plan what the
Okay.
current conditions are.
So it may be worth saying all those things directly on the plan, just for the record.
I think that, is it not clear on the
It's
on the legend?
as clear to me as maybe
Okay.
the way you explained it. So, because we just got the replacement fence on that.
Yeah, already replaced fence, I think is what you meant there, right?
Yeah. And that dash line symbology is a little hard to distinguish between the property lines. So
Yep, I-
that's mostly brown. Yeah.
Does this fence meet guidelines?
I believe it does, I'm just scrolling down to check.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Okay, thank you.
It is in the appropriate style, so as long as it is below 6 feet, I think
And
Yes,
is
it is. I
it
think it's
stain
70.
requirement or a paint requirement?
it's in paint or opaque stain is the requirement.
Yes, and it's a stain, it's gonna be a stain to match the existing,
Okay.
to try to
But
get it to,
it needs to be an opaque stain.
yes.
Okay, right.
I'm pretty sure that's what I have the same.
So that will legitimize that fence as what, having.
Correct, it's bringing it
Which is
to
what-
that.
What we're trying to do, right? So-
Yes, so it
Yeah.
would bring it into.
Right, okay.
So we are not approving new brick samples. Did you get that?
Correct.
Okay. So we're continuing today? Keep thinking,
That's the staff recommendation based on the window.
to figure out the window stuff, yeah.
Panels.
Yeah.
The staff is also recommending that the historic windows that are still existing are retained and not replaced, that the only new windows are the ones that have already been replaced. That's staff recommendation.
Okay, so one is replacement of the ones that were replaced to meet,
No, anything that is original window, they would like you to refurbish.
right, sorry, I'm speaking to the ones that already have been replaced.
Yes, they
Is
need to
for-
go back to either accept.
Something on the
approved
approved list.
Or, right, something that looks like the original.
I noticed in the section, regarding the windows, I think it's stated amount of disrepair, and I think some of the existing photos, some of the windows are in pretty bad disrepair. I don't know what. I think there's some photos from the inside of
You're
broken.
wondering what triggers.
Correct, yes,
Yeah.
there, there's some broken panes, there's.
What staff think.
If it's just like broken things, the stuff that can be typically as part of repair can be definitely say, repair if possible. It's if, they can't be repaired any longer, more than 50% of the window is.
And they have to prove that to you guys, right?
built. It would be documentation, so based on what we see here, the recommendation is to retain and repair. It's possible, there could be additional photo documentation that shows otherwise for other windows, but whether majority or specific view. But based on what we have now, our recommendation is to repair.
HPO staff can also conduct a site visit to the property if the applicant feels that deterioration is not being evidenced.
I recommend you do that if you want to head in a different direction.
Okay.
It's the culprit of the broken window pane, it's the hammer right there.
Evidence.
So there is. Any other questions you might have for us?
Nope, I think that's it. So the windows, two window issues we just discussed, clarification on the site plan for the fence, just to clarify the notation of that graphically, and then the brick.
Go find your brick. And a great mason.
Sounds good.
All right. Do you see anything else, like lighting or?
The sconces made sense to me. I mean,
Yeah.
they reasonably match what's already there. Staff, did you comment on those? I can't remember.
I don't have any comments on the light fixtures from the review of the application or given to the vice meetings.
And the roof looks like it's solid, based on what I can see, slate.
And the dormer.
Yeah.
Dormer color.
Yeah, it's Cynthia said. The colors, I don't think they're an issue at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
But use the staff if you have any questions.
Sure.
Give them a call. Cool.
So prepare all these things for the next.
Yeah.
Meeting.
And they will tell you if there are things that they can approve without us. So we need a motion to continue?
Yes.
Like I've never done this before. I'll entertain a motion
I'll make a motion to continue an application
and have the applicant come back and discuss,
and having the applicant come back and discuss the modification as proposed.
which includes windows and bricks essentially, primarily.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is continued, often the deadlines are the day after the hearing, but you get to submit the deadline of later, just so you have that
Okay, for the,
for the next.
So the next meeting, and the next meeting is our last meeting as a commission. We are
Okay.
disbanding to
So-
be incorporated into historic resources, so you could be continued, I assume, over to historic resources if we can't get it done before you leave, but you'd rather get it done with this commission. Because we have a much smaller agenda.
so you're saying
You would need to submit new materials and drawings by December 15th to be on the January agenda
Okay.
for redistrict commission. I think December 15th
Is there anybody
is
else?
Friday,
that
next
said that?
Friday.
Everybody else, making sure. Nobody else is coming, go beyond January. May just be you.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anything that you guys would like us to do?
If there's any new business or old business or big that completes the agenda,
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to dismiss.
I make a motion to.
Great job. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.